Doing things on autopilot, we all do. In fact, we probably do a lot of our day-to-day activities all on autopilot. And you might be thinking, oh, just a minute. Nah, I'm not sure that I do things on autopilot, but let me give you an example. Driving a car. When you were first setting out to learn how to drive a car, you had to be 100% dialed in. You were fully focused on what you were doing. There was no time to think about anything else. Where were your hands? Where were your feet? Where's the gas? Where's the brake? Where's the stick shift? All of those things, where are the mirrors, and paying attention to everything that's going on around you. And you practiced, and at times you felt like there's a lot happening here. But it didn't take very long. Matter of fact, it took only a matter of a couple of weeks, I'll bet, before you were jumping in the car, you were feeling completely at ease, key into the ignition, you turned it, you threw it into gear, and bang, you were off down the road, and you didn't even give it another thought. You probably actually spent time thinking about other things rather than thinking about driving. And that's what I mean about doing things on autopilot. You actually drive your vehicle now, all based on autopilot. You know, you've learned it, your body's learned it, and away you go. Well, the thing is that we do an awful lot in our daily lives on autopilot. You know, we had to think about them, we had to concentrate, we had to learn a behavior, we had to develop habits in order to be able to do it without thought. And that's a good thing, most of the time. But those autopilot functions that we do sometimes don't serve us well. As much as we think of, you know, the example I just gave of driving a car, and like, oh, well, that makes sense. You know, I'm fine with driving my car on autopilot. There's other aspects of our daily lives, though, that we do on autopilot too that may not be serving us well. Because just like the functions, driving a car, opening a door, getting dressed, how we get out of bed, all of the things that we do can be on autopilot, our emotions can be on autopilot as well. And that may not be serving you the way you want it to serve you. So here's an example. Again, you're off to work one day, Monday or Tuesday, and you're in work, something just doesn't go right, and you end up with a debate, an argument, a disagreement of some nature with a fellow employee, or maybe it's your boss, but there's something there that's intense, you're unhappy, maybe words are spoken, maybe it's just that gut feeling, you know, you got a knot in the gut, and you get a little wound up, you get a little bit unhappy or quite unhappy about it, and as I said, maybe you say something, maybe you don't, but the emotions are all there. End of the day comes, away you go home. Next day, you get up and you're getting ready for work again. And guess what? You start to think about what made you unhappy and uncomfortable yesterday at work with that coworker or your boss. And what happens? When you think about it, those emotions, they become fresh and anew again for you. You relive that emotional experience and you get a little bit frustrated, you get a little bit angry, you get a little bit upset about that, and your body's creating all those chemicals again. And boy, you drive off to work, there you are, and you go through the day and you're not quite as happy at work as you were the day before or the day before that. The day wraps up, you head home, do whatever you're gonna do, and next day you get up and you're going to go to work and it replays again. And those emotions, those reactions take and grow and grow and grow. You replay them, replay them, replay them until how you feel about going to work has been influenced by that one incident, that one disagreement, that one piece of failed conversation between you and a coworker, or you and your boss, and now it's driven, it's become an emotion that's become habitual. It's become something that you do on autopilot. And those kinds of things don't serve you well. So we might think that having things happen for us on autopilot is great, it saves time, but a lot of the emotions we experience on a day-to-day basis, we're experiencing them on autopilot as well. Take also when you come home from work. Here's an example. How many people walk in the front door when they get home from work? First thing they do is they open the fridge, they grab a beverage, whether it's a tea, coffee, maybe it's a beer or a glass of wine. They turn on the television and the news is playing in the background. Whatever it is playing in the background. They're not really paying attention. I'm not really paying attention. You're not really paying attention. And we do that over and over and over, and it becomes a habit. That's what we do. That's how we take and launch ourselves into the evening. Also, perhaps you've come home from work and you're not really feeling happy about the way things work. Talk about the situation that I was talking about earlier. And Perhaps you express that, maybe your coworker, or pardon me, your spouse, your significant other. You're telling them how frustrated you were at work, and you're feeling like, well, I'm just downloading, I'm just dumping, I'm just letting it all go, but you're not. You're not. What you're doing is you're reliving the emotional event again. You're making it habitual. You're building that in. It becomes something that is on autopilot. And that coming home, that feeling of dissatisfied, that need to reach out for the beer or the glass of wine, turn the television on, and dump on all of the lousy things that happened to you at work, in the last day, the last week, the last month, becomes an autopilot. And it's not serving you well. I've had those experiences myself where I catch myself up taking and talking about things that happened in the past, and I relive them on a daily basis, and they influence how I feel, they influence what I do, and they influence the outcome of the present. When it's things that happened in the past, it's things that happened in the past. And if you want a different present, if you want a better future for yourself, you have to stop reliving the things in the past, stop recreating all of the emotion tied to a past event. Look at what's going on right now, right here with your significant other, and live today. Live today. Don't relive those emotions, but live emotions that are real and happening today, not ones that you're artificially pulling forward and reliving to reinforce that whole autopilot piece, that whole automatic emotional response. So instead, emotional reaction. So instead of doing that, instead of reacting, I want you to think about what you're doing and respond. Are you experiencing emotions that are true to the situation that is around you, or are you experiencing emotions dragged up from some past events? That's a critical question, and pay attention to that, because I know you want to have a great day. I know that you want a great life, and I know that you want a great future. So don't drag forward past events. They're in the past. Let them go. Take and live on events of today. Experience emotions based on today's events, and think about where you're going in the future. I know I've added value. I want you to think about that, and I look forward to talking again.